Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Cheap Seats. This is your Premier League show that talks all things Premier League. Things are getting hot in the kitchen, and Arsenal decided to exit the kitchen instead of sit and try and cook whatever stew they were trying to cook there, with Manchester City coming in acting like a chef. And they're currently on a 10-game winning streak, and they're going to probably finish the Premier League on a 13-game winning streak, which I don't think any other team has done but them. So yeah, it's an interesting day. I've been so happy of previous episodes, talking about how happy I am at the top of the log. Now it's 14 days have not been of not being on top of the log, and I'm pretty sad, but we'll talk about that. Remember, this show is sponsored by Classic Shirts ZA, so please go and check it out. We've got the new Man City fans talking about a treble, and so I was like, because they're talking about a treble, they're in all three competitions, and there's one team that could possibly stop the treble, but that's on the 3rd of June. So we'll hopefully for that. Wanted to
bro,
remind
you're discounting Real Madrid and possibly Inter Milan.
no. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that. There's one team I know can do the job and will do the job, and it's in their hands. It's not the 99 treble team. But if you want to remember of a last time a team won a treble, this kit is certainly it. If you're a Manchester United fan and want to wear it on the 3rd of June to
You actually got two different kits there, Paul.
Yes. Oh, snap. Okay, cool.
We wore a different kit in the Champions League that year.
Dude, it's a treble kit anyway. Don't worry. It's the one that was born in 1999. Only he would know, actually.
Only he would know.
But anyway, if you want to look and scare the Manchester City fan who's just popped up and his, I don't know how many years of watching football, maybe buy this kit and wear it on the 3rd of June as Manchester United play Manchester City in that that FA Cup final, because quite frankly, I think Champions League is theirs and the Premier League is theirs as well. There's no thinking about that. They just need to win on the weekend. But yeah, nice kits. Wahid, I'm sure you have. I know you have these. So yeah, yes. So I was trying to stir some memories, trying to get Manchester United going, because I don't know what's going on in your camp. Everyone's now looking at who they want to get rid of and whatever it is. But it was a good time. Okay. Now remember, you can use the CheapSeats discount code of CheapSeats99 to let them know that we sent you. So we've got a lot to talk about today. And so we're going to start with our friend from North London, the other side of North London. Dean, this section is called Dean, how are you doing? I think we're going to have this section every week. Spurs does something dumb. I don't know which team they lost to this weekend.
It's like a therapy session. Dean, how are you doing?
But
Tell us how you feel, Dean.
Tottenham Hotspur don't have a director of football. They don't have a coach. Well, they got a caretaker coach. They're on a spiral to nothing. I think there's lots of discussions of whether you need to sell Kane, you need to sell Son, and obviously there's many other players that need to leave. But Dean, from a Spursy perspective, how are you doing? And what are the first few steps to get Spurs right?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably been one of those seasons.
Acceptance, denial, anger. Dean, where are you, bro?
The problem is that when we came into the season, there was so much anticipation and excitement, and Conte was there. He had a full summer. It was a good window, and everything was like, okay, this could be we're not going to win the league, but we're going to do well. We could win a trophy maybe here or there. And the disappointment that's followed in the past, more just 2 months since Conte had that rant after the Southampton draw, it's just been shambolic. Like, having the director of football banned by FIFA, I mean, it's fine. Like, I guess we kind of took him on with that. But there's just absolutely no direction. And I think it's the sentiment sort of shared by a lot of Spurs fans. You have a look at where we are now versus 2021 before, or when we got rid of Jose and in that summer, and we are worse off. And to be worse off after 2 years with little to zero progression, to be honest. Just shows exactly that what everyone has been aware of, that Daniel Levy just isn't running the club properly. I mean, You've got your club captain leaving in Lloris. You've got your all-time goal scorer on the final year of his contract, where the whole world football will laugh at him if he stays at Spurs. So he has to leave. No director of football, as you said, no head coach. We're playing for vibes, and it's just bad vibes. So we're just losing every week, and it's a case of, again, there's nothing to play for. We concede a goal, and I don't even really react to it anymore. I'm just like, oh, okay, he has another team that's just figured us out. So it's a very bad place to be at the moment to be a Spurs fan. And in terms of way forward, it's really not that easy. Like, I think the Poch appointment by Chelsea is a good one, but I also think the Poch appointment by Spurs would have made a little bit more sense in terms of a footballing choice. It would have pulled the fans together a little bit and whatever. But I understand that there are reasons why we didn't go back. It's often not as good the second time, whatever. But it just feels like there's more poor football decisions.
But
so,
you kicked him below the groin, and then you expected him
that was
to come
like 5
back.
years ago. So the thing is, like,
you should just get over it.
So the thing is, like, there's no easy way forward, and I think from what it looks like, we are more interested in getting a proper director of football before we look at getting coaches, which is probably the right way to go about it.
Yes.
But again, your pool of what you're looking at is so small. And like I've said on previous shows, you've got no Champions League football, probably no Europa League football. I honestly hope we don't play Conference League football again, because we'll get knocked out of that. And then we're just a joke again. So no one's looking at the project going, yeah, cool, let's go. So the players aren't that keen to come, or the players that would have been keen, say, last year when we had Champions League football and Conte, don't want to come anymore. The players that are there should leave, and they don't want to leave because they know they're going to get their wages cut because they're performing so badly. So, yeah, director of football is the first thing. Where are we going to get one? I mean, like, Bayer Leverkusen is supposed to come.
There are plenty.
We'll see.
We've got two. So we'll
I don't want Chelsea rejects anymore. We had Mourinho, we had Conte. I'm sick of them. I don't want any more Chelsea rejects.
You prefer Wolves rejects.
Yes. I was about to talk about the Wolves reject. And do you see the summer shaping up worse than that summer?
Yeah. I think it's going to be... I think the pool of coaches that are available is smaller. If you have a look at what was available that summer, I mean, obviously some of the names were not realistic, but I think Allegri was available, Conte was available, Ten Hag was kind of around there. There was a few people around there. So, like, now you look at coaches that are available, and Poch is gone.
There's a coach available, and AB just mentioned it in the chat.
I don't want
good old Ole. He'd be
I don't want that guy.
No. Look, but can I step in here on your behalf? I know it's doom and gloom, but honestly, Chelsea and Spurs are in very similar boats here. Ours has sprung so many leaks that we've given up on trying to bail the water out. We're just going to get a new ship. But the thing with Spurs is that, firstly, yes, it's been a generally poorly run organization from Daniel Levy's perspective. He's made a ton of bad decisions. However, he could potentially be in the space to actually make some of the best decisions he's ever made by not rushing into stuff. So the first one would be get a director of football, like you suggested. And I think there are some really good ones out there. They don't have to be spectacular. They just have to be good. In fact, weirdly, somebody who would be really good for you would be somebody like Michael Emenalo, who used to work at Chelsea. He's not necessarily working at a top job. He was central to a lot of the good things that happened at the Blues. But anyway, you don't even have to hire him. Just look at the philosophy that was used, which is to try and attack things on two fronts. Firstly, get a coach who can actually manage the players that you have currently, and then also look at building an entire ecosystem around this team. Oliver Skip cannot be the best of what is coming out of your academy. Honestly, look, I'm not even trying to poke fun at you or anything like that, but the Spurs academy must be better than it has been in recent years. It has.
But I mean, to say that, fine. I mean, Skip shouldn't be playing, but at the same time, I think Skip wouldn't be playing if Bentancur was fit and Basuma was fit for the season. Like, it's also a depth issue. So there's a lot of other
so that's
concerns.
one side of it. But the academy is important because you have to draw on it in order to fill some gaps. United have done that in the past and are currently doing it. Chelsea have done the same. Arsenal have done the same. And they've done that with relatively good success. So the academy shouldn't be treated as this thing that is an appendage to the club. The second thing here is the coach that you pick has also got to be somebody who has Premier League experience. It hasn't got to be anybody who's from the continent trying to do some like work experience type thing. Get somebody who's got some experience of bringing a unit together and then build Spurs up from the ground up. Because right now, there is you talked about dreaming of winning trophies. You haven't done that for a very, very long time.
Well, I mean, we haven't done it for 15 years, but like, that's the problem. That's why I said, like, you look at the expectation and it was there, and now we got an even older squad that's worse, that's more expensive, and it's not getting any better. So I agree with you. It's a complete like reset of the club, and the problem is Levy doesn't make good football decisions, and that's why there's no faith that I can say, it's fine. Like Levy will make one good.
He's much like Todd Bowley. He will stumble into one by accident. It's going to happen.
Well, he stumbled into Kane and Son, and he didn't make that work. So, the question for me to close out this Dean, how are you feeling session? This little counseling session we're having is Son and Kane. Is this Saturday the final game they'll be playing at the Toilet Bowl in those white shirts? Are we saying goodbye, finally?
Like I said, I think Kane will go, and Kane should go this season.
Why not Son? He's 30.
No, so I think the only reason why I think Son might stay, he should go. He's old enough and he should go, but he's had a shocker of a season. If we sold him last summer after he won Golden Boot or shared Golden Boot, I think it would have been fine. But I think he's had a shocker of a season and he might want to stay. And you can talk about heartstrings, but he is loved by the club. So I think he's got a contract until 2026. So I think he's got another year in him, and then we'll look to move him on.
So based on your argument, Dean, Hakim Ziyech must stay at Chelsea. Jadon Sancho must stay at Chelsea because
I'll take Ziyech. Well, I'll take Ziyech, but Son's got a lot of goodwill that he's built up. So I think that's why he'll stay. And to see Kane and Son go in the same thing. Without Kane and Son, Spurs finish 14.
Don't do
it. Let's talk best case scenario and worst case scenario, Dean. What's your best case scenario in terms of your manager, and what's your worst case scenario in terms of your manager right now?
Before you answer, how comfortable does Wahid look in his new digs? Fireplace behind him.
Well, we've got another man at Old Trafford there.
I think
so. Is his background is making his hair disappear. So it's like really
No. I shaved my head. I shaved. Yeah, I've gone. I embraced the bald.
So to answer the question, I think worst case scenario is Brendan Rodgers becomes our coach, and we sell Kane for less than 100 million. I think best case scenario, we sell Kane for 120 to. He probably, I think there's no one overseas that can afford that, I don't think, unless Real Madrid break the bank and Benzema moves on. But I reckon Chelsea or United are either his next places he goes.
Yeah.
And
or Newcastle.
For coach,
or
Newcastle. But I think for coach-wise, like that Arne slot from Feyenoord is... I can't say I've watched a lot of Dutch football.
This is crazy. This is like Tottenham all over it.
No. It is. This is y'all all over again, right?
Yeah, but he's good. He's a good coach. So we'll tell
How do you do that?
But you're putting him worst case scenario. So you putting. You're putting best case scenario.
I say on a decent young coach, a project manager coach would be the best case scenario. Who that is?
You're not going for Graham Potter.
Vincent Kompany.
Vincent Kompany's He's just signed 5 years extension with Burnley, didn't he?
Doesn't matter.
Which
we
would
can
mean
buy
that
out.
his compensation would be higher. That's all.
Yeah.
No, I think he wants to
Michael
stick it out with
Carrick.
Burnley and have a
Yeah, you
season.
guys laughed at
I
me, Michael
Yeah.
Carrick, a couple of weeks ago, but he's looking
Yeah,
like a
but-
decent bet for Premier League team.
No,
I still wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go there. Because there's no difference currently between where's Carrick right now?
This is a championship. It's not gonna work.
Right?
He's
Right?
managing Middlesbrough extremely well.
And where are Middlesbrough in the championship?
They're in
They've
the
gone
playoff.
from 14th or 15th when he inherited them to the championship playoff third.
Right.
He's done a good job.
That is
done a good
exactly what Frank Lampard did when he was in the
Yes.
championship and made it to the
he took Derby
championship
from 6 to
final.
6. No. He took Derby from 6 to 6. There was no,
You
There was
can come
no-
here and
there
say
was
all
no
of this stuff,
movement up
but
the table.
the
There was no
reality
like
is
clear
he's
point of instilling a different method of
Sure.
football there.
sure. All I'm
Okay,
saying
guys.
is
6 to 6, bro.
Let's stop
all I'm
talking
saying
about
is
it.
no, but you're touting Carrick here like he's the second coming, and he's done exactly
it's
the
not
same
gonna
as
work.
Frank Lampard
I'm
did.
not touting him as the second coming. I'm touting him as a competent manager who could do a job. And at this point, Spurs are probably fluttering their eyes at people above their level.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that at this point, a person like Michael Carrick might do a decent job for what Spurs are.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but there's a Feyenoord manager that Dean's really got his eye on,
Yes.
and he
As
can't
his
be
best case.
worse. He can't be worse than Michael Carrick.
Yeah. The other thing
I-
for me.
we need a young coach. That's my only thing.
No,
A young
Dean.
coach.
You don't.
Mason's
He's
here.
a guy
I do.
who's good at the Premier League, who
Save
can
him.
play in the Premier League and compete.
I'm sick
Why
of these
is
guys that have
Brendan
done well
Rodgers your
before.
worst-
That's
Why
what
is
I'm
Brendan
sick of.
Rodgers your worst case scenario? He should be your best case scenario. He should be the guy.
He's
Even
my worst
Graham
case
Potter's
scenario
the
because
best
you
case
said
scenario.
you want him at Spurs. So any
So wait,
Arsenal fan,
I'm interested here. So where does Potter fit in?
Yes, in all of this.
No, it doesn't.
So there's 5 coaches that I reckon we are looking at. Like I said, okay. So there's Xabi Alonso, 1 year at Bayern
Oh,
Leverkusen. He's had 1 year in the German league. I don't think he's that good. Okay. Potter, who I don't even think he trusts his own legs to walk anymore. That's how much his confidence has been damaged at Chelsea. Rodgers, who was good at Leicester and then also led this Leicester team to probably being relegated for majority of the season. So
He won an
Rodgers-
FA Cup, by the way.
he also, but Mourinho won the league and then he came to Spurs and didn't win anything. So
Yeah, but
past winners
So
of
we're
Premier League.
identifying that there's a problem here. Not
I'm not saying Spurs isn't the problem. What I'm saying
That's
is
indeed
we need
it,
we
AB.
need a
That's
coach.
indeed it.
Like you can say Spurs is a terrible club
Right,
and they
okay,
never
so,
won.
so now, so,
But
so now
you still
Potter,
need personnel.
let's go to the 5 managers.
Potter, Rodgers,
Yeah,
Xabi Alonso. I think Thomas Frank is an interesting choice, which
Ooh, that'd be
yeah,
interesting.
I like him.
Yeah.
he would probably be up there. And then, like I said, there's Arne Slot. The reason why I'm mentioning him is there's been a lot of interest in him. He has done well with Feyenoord in the season, like in the Eredivisie. It's not enough,
They win the
but
Eredivisie.
it's an interesting choice. So
There's
Did they
another
win the
guy
Eredivisie?
Well, Eredivisie is still
Yeah.
on. They're in the championship. They're in the
They're probably
championship.
gonna
Who is the coach at Feyenoord right now?
Arne Slot.
No, but isn't PSV winning
Ruud-
the Eredivisie?
Ruud
Van
van
Nistelrooy
Nistelrooy
was the PSV.
is currently leading the way in the Eredivisie, and I'd rather take Ruud van Nistelrooy than Arne Slot. But maybe Arne Slot is in the price range, like he's the ShopRite version of what you guys are looking at.
No. Wait,
Okay.
Feyenoord are about to win.
No.
Well, they should win.
Arne Slot's the manager
unless
of
the
Feyenoord.
Arsenal hits, they should win because they've got like 8 points.
Okay, we're doing some really bad podcasting now because everyone's Googling the Eredivisie. So whoever gets the
We're
right
out here.
answer.
Arne Slot is the
Googling
coach
the
for
Eredivisie.
Feyenoord.
Well. Let's outside of that. Outside
Guys,
of
Arne
that, I
Slot's
do
the
think.
guy.
Yeah, he is the guy. Yeah, and here we are all thinking that he should be there ahead of Graham Potter, who was universally terrible at Chelsea, but was also working under extremely terrible circumstances. So I just feel Potter was
David
not the
Moyes
man
was
for
universally
Chelsea.
terrible at Man United, but has not done a terrible job at the clubs he's gone to after that.
Yeah, no,
He's a
exactly.
possibility
At
if
West
West Ham
Ham.
decide to move him
Except
on.
for almost relegating West Ham, pretty much what you slated Brendan
He's
Rodgers
about
for.
to win
David
the Europa,
Moyes is
the
doing
whatever
that.
that league is. He's
The
about to win the
Conference League.
Conference League.
Let me
Put
ask you
respect
this,
on David
okay?
Moyes' name.
Let me ask you this. Chelsea fan, United fan, Arsenal fan. Which coach appointment would make you go, maybe this is a good appointment by Spurs out of the five
Brendan
names?
Rodgers.
Okay.
Brendan
I think
Graham
Rodgers would
Potter.
be I also feel it's either Potter or Rodgers. And the thing is, Rodgers and Potter have both worked in situations where they haven't had huge amounts of money. That will be the key thing for Spurs.
Yes.
You have to find a coach who is willing to work in a frugal environment where he can get the most out of what he's got. And Potter did exactly that at Brighton in building them up to what De Zerbi is doing now. I do think, though, that what Potter's also got is a far better, or it seems to be a far better understanding of what happens in the lower lights of the European leagues, and that's where you
Yes.
might find the most value. But what about Hasenhüttl? Where is he at the moment?
Jobless.
Okay, we're gonna leave that for another show because we need to move
Yeah.
on. We've got
Yes.
multiple more topics, and I
Fine,
need
we
to
want to
defend my
fix
team.
Spurs. We want to fix
No,
Spurs
but
so that
there's another
we
North
can-
London team.
We're
that-
never gonna fix it.
on the
Okay.
alley of mediocrity.
Okay.
Let me laugh now. Let me have a laugh,
Yes.
please.
So to make Dean laugh, this North London team has hurt me so much in the past couple of weeks. AB used to give us this message in our WhatsApp group, Arsenal's league to lose. Then we'd be like, no, AB, let's take it
Maybe
one
the
day at a
closet
time.
Arsenal fan.
There's this juggernaut called Manchester City, and that juggernaut actually came through. They showed us who they are. And Arsenal decided to whimper away because they were so afraid and kept on looking back like a marathon runner, tired legs. And that's what happened. So the question today is, did Arsenal bottle it? And I know the answer is yes, but I'm going to give you a case of why not.
But you're
of
wrong.
no.
I
Yes.
was about to say exactly what Dean said.
I'm not
You're
wrong.
I don't know. I don't
No, I'm
care
not
what you
wrong.
want to say. It's wrong.
You're gonna tell me that you've got a young squad and shame it.
No, I'm not gonna tell you.
they weren't
I'm not-
expected to be in this
No one-
race.
No one's
No,
gonna beat
whoa,
City.
wait, guys,
City's
guys,
the best
guys,
team
guys,
in the
guys,
world.
guys.
Well, let's hear him out.
Guys,
Let's see.
have you?
Paul
So
that
in-
guy who in 1999 was like, no, the Proteas didn't bottle it, guys. We played against a better
They
team.
It's
Well-
not bottling it if you choke. That's what that's all we're saying.
Look, this Manchester City team, all the teams that have gone against them in the
Dean,
title
hold up the
race,
bottle.
United, as well as Liverpool 3 times, know that this team is like Eliud Kipchoge, marathon runner extraordinary. They know that they're going to be breaking world records every time they run a marathon. So then, if Manchester City's aim was to get to 95 points, how are we bottling a league when they are going to get to a points tally that not many other teams have been able to get to? And so my only issue is this, right? Fine. Yes, they led by 8 points, and there was some level of stumbling, not necessarily a bottling or a choking, but a
Stumbling.
stumble,
You
but
sound like me.
My friend, you had 43 points in January. No team
Exactly.
has ever
No
lost the
team's
league
ever
from
lost
that
it
point.
from there.
what do you always tell me every season at the halfway mark? The league's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We sprinted our way to
You guys were
1 game, and then we fell
80%
away.
of the way there.
Yeah, we're like that runner in the 100-meter and 110-meter hurdles who gets through 9 hurdles on the 10th one, he stumbles and he falls and he loses the race, even though he's led for the entire race. That's what happened. It's not a bottling, it just happened. And I don't know if you guys have ever been in this seat before with a Manchester City chasing you, but I understand Liverpool fans now. I am sorry for laughing at you for the previous years, but oh my word, it is the most
As
frightening
the
thing.
OG bottlers who bottled it worse than you in 2012, let me tell you that this is up there with us bottling it in 2012, my friend.
I know.
We are the
I
OG
know.
bottlers, and I'm telling you, you bottled it.
Newcastle might have a claim to the bottling stakes here, the bottling plant, with their 13-point lead absolutely evaporating. But I will say this in Arsenal's defense, right? And this is also linked to
Better
the
than their current
Spurs
defense because they're
thing.
shipping goals left, right, and center.
Dude, oh my word.
Not looking good. Not looking good. Excellent, Wahid. Excellent. But this is a team managed by a manager who's never done it before. And they played pretty much like, to use Mpo's analogy of a runner, like a runner who is going flat out too early in a race and runs out of steam towards the end. There wasn't an understanding of when to conserve energy, when to come out and really strike hard. They just went for it, all guns blazing. And then, unfortunately, that was the real cost at the end of the day, especially in a threadbare squad, because it all started with Gabriel Jesus getting injured, and then the goals dried up for a bit. You were able to win close games, but then, there was always this sense of, oh, well, what are we going to do next? And I kept asking this question on our WhatsApp groups and anywhere I could, who are the Arsenal game breakers? In order to win a league title, you have to be able to call on somebody at some point. City, if they're not getting the best out of Haaland, suddenly you have a De Bruyne doing incredible things. If it's not KDB, you've got Gundogan. Who are the guys at Arsenal that they could call on? It clearly wasn't Granit Xhaka. But Martin Odegaard seemed to have some of that in him, and sometimes Gabriel Martinelli, who I will also apologize for calling him a nonsense. He's actually been better than I'd given him credit for.
Pause right there. If you're going to do that, I want apologies, because I'm sitting with a 42 goal and assist season for Rashford.
Yeah, look, that was coming.
I want apologies. If you're going to give Martinelli apologies, I want the same on Rashford.
And the point I was going to make was that at least Rashford has actually won a trophy this season, right? In the sense that Rashford has actually had a heck of a season compared to what he's had in previous seasons. And we've seen Rashford do some stuff before, but I never felt that Rashford was a star. And if I'm being totally honest with you, I still don't. I think he's had a great season, but I don't think that the likes of Real Madrid are quaking in their boots at the fact that Marcus Rashford might be facing them. So it's that kind of thing that has bothered me. I don't think they're doing that with Gabriel Martinelli either. But the bottle job is what will happen when you have a coach that doesn't have the sense of what a title run-in looks like. And that's why it took Klopp so long to win it with Liverpool, because he had to have the falls along the way. So you're either on a really good path, or it's the beginning of more disasters once you get into the Champions League.
Yeah, and that's
let me come in here, Paul. Because there's a few interesting things there, right? I think Arsenal are extremely lucky to have been where they were. Okay, they played well. We'll give them that. They played well. But for majority of the season, if you ever look at the spine of that team, they were not. They didn't have a lot of injuries, right? I know Jesus was out for 3-4 months, okay. But if you have a look at the spine, you had Saliba there, you had Ramsdale there. Odegaard isn't injured, still not injured, playing well. You had majority of that squad was fit for the whole season. It took one. The moment Saliba went missing, gone. And next season, let's say there is injuries, or let's say there aren't any more injuries, right? You have a look at next season. Chelsea aren't going to stay where they are. Liverpool aren't going to stay where they are. City are going to keep going. Arsenal, I hear now they got 200 million this summer to go and spend.
So you're still predicting that we're not going to make the top 4 next year. Is that your prediction?
No, I think you will make top 4. But what I'm saying is, I think the way that you played this season had a lot to do with luck, in the sense that there wasn't a lot of
circumstance. Availability an asset in itself?
Yes, it is an ability.
Yes, it is.
You can use the same.
Well.
If you have a look at that,
Arsenal sides that have been hit by injuries, and we've sat across many conversations saying,
but if
Arsenal
you have a
should
look
fire their medical doctor.
If you have a look at other squads, they get injury ravaged, and they are fall like completely flat. And yes, some of the injuries you can protect, some of them you just literally can't. And for me, the thing that's been more telling over the last few games is it still seems like Arsenal have that switch where they can turn off, and Odegaard goes missing. Xhaka looks like he's going to get red cards left, right, and center and ready to kick people in the face again. You've got that defense that completely falls apart, that doesn't know what they're doing. And the guys that you expect to stand up don't stand up. And yes, I think it is an experience. I think it is huge.
Arsenal, like at the end of the day, and I always look at Arsenal maybe since the invincible days and since you last won a trophy, and I look at you guys and I just think soft. And I think that's probably one of the issues with that team.
I think that Liverpool second half was where everything went missing.
Fell apart.
That was like we were on top, you guys were flying, and the moment they were like, hang on, we're playing so well, but we're actually retreating, I think that's the moment the lights went off. And look, a part of me is like, you guys have played well. You finished second. You guys have been the talk of the season. But I still don't think there's that BMT when it needed to be BMT. Last year, you were playing for fourth. You lost against us 3-0 at home, and then Newcastle, no BMT. Mm-hmm. This year, you had it in your hands. You had to beat City, not even beat City, draw City. You were in a position that no one's been in and has never lost. No BMT, lost it. So, yes. I
do think one of the things that you need to look at is Arsenal kept saying, okay, we almost sacrificing, but we're out of the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, and the Europa League to concentrate on the Premier League
early.
And then bottled it. Whereas the teams around you were all fighting on all those fronts. And you look at next season and you think, again, I'm not saying that you're not going to make top four, but how does this squad manage itself playing in a Champions League and playing in the FA Cup? Because you can't go, like, if you want progress, you're going to have to go and win something properly. Like try your best to go win something. And are you going to manage that with the soft nature of that squad that we've seen this season and last season? Are you going to manage to fight on all four fronts?
Or who do you think you need to not be soft?
So you need about 5 players. You need 5 players who
with 200 mil, hey?
Yeah, look, we're going to sell a few.
That's the base budget. Yeah, that's the base budget.
So
who's the 5? Who's the 5?
I don't know who I know the positions, and I think
position wise.
You need a centre mid.
Declan Rice.
8.
So Declan Rice, 100.
Yes. Well, don't count the money now. Don't count the money. We know.
Bro, we are 4 CAs on this thing, and you're saying don't count the money.
Guys, just let me give you. So we need a defensive midfielder. We need a striker. I don't know if Balogun comes back, but I don't know what you're going to give him because he's had a great season in France. But you need a top-class striker to kind of fight it. You need a right winger to compete with Saka because ideally Saka's ran out of legs at the end of that season, and you can't play him
into the sky quickly, bro.
You need a right back solution, and Ben White, as I've always said, he looked great for most of the season, but I need a right back who knows how to play right back and can compete with him. I know Tomiyasu's been injured, but we need cover there. You also need cover on the left back, and then you also need someone to compete with Odegaard, but that could be ESR. But essentially that's what you need to build. From a character perspective, this team showed us at Newcastle they can access a hardness that needs to be there, and I think Jorginho being in that squad already and probably maybe going into that final year contract could be the answer for like big games because I think he brings in something. But essentially, that's what this team needs. You don't need like obviously Wahid and Manchester and AB can talk about this, but United had about like 14, 15 players that they can rely on. I think Arsenal had about 16, 17 players they can rely on, and it kind of dwindled quickly with the injuries. And then especially when Tomiyasu went out, it just curtailed everything. And I think we need to get to about 20, 21, 22 of players you can rely on. And that means Reece Nelson possibly could go. If you're bringing in a right winger, we need to sell Pepe. He's still on the books, and just get in cash.
Why do you sell him? If he's willing to understudy for Saka, why do you need to sell him?
But he doesn't do anything because even when he was there and he was understudying, he delivered naught.
Yeah,
what's he doing?
And that's the issue. Leon? He's at Nice, and he's doing really well.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
That's what I'm asking. He plays for Sir Jim Ratcliffe.
Yeah. So, but that's the other thing. And like the Reece Nelson question, right? You can get value for Reece Nelson in the market right now at the lower teams. Sell him for 30 million. See what adds that to the pot. So it's looking at that. Xhaka is probably going to leave, so you need to bring somebody in for him. And then you also need a situation where is it ESR at 8 that you're trying to groom, or you're going to find someone else who actually can play the 8. So Mikel's issue is that he ran the squad to death, and the managing and the managing the different.
You just can't.
Yeah, and managing the different European things would require a large squad, a 25-man squad that you can rotate, and he needs to learn to rotate. And he needs to, and that's why my thing is with Balogun, the easy answer is you'll play in the Premier League, Gabriel Jesus will play midweeks, and you then do that, and then you have at least one striker who has proven himself in France, and you want to give him an opportunity here. But so for me, the issue obviously is, and the answer is they did bottle it, and I do think so, and I think it was, and as someone said to me, experience is a gift.
We took the scenic route, but we got there.
Yeah, we got there.
I just want you to say, you're the biggest bottlers in North London.
No.
Yes, you are the biggest bottlers in North London.
He's not wrong. It's just that Spurs aren't even close enough to bottle things. So
yeah, but that's fine. Everyone laughs at Spurs that we bottle everything. We haven't even had a chance to bottle something.
Look, it's fine.
Well, except for the Champions League final.
And there was
There's lots of losers.
For the year you came third in a 2-horse race.
Yes.
This year Arsenal are coming second in a 1-horse race.
Same thing. You're with us. You're coming with us. But yeah, so essentially that's how you fix the team. I want to go to AB to ask him. Obviously, he pretty much for the second half of the season thought we were winning the league. So, what happens now? Did you put money on Arsenal, AB?
AB, did you throw away your Arsenal shirt?
Please. No.
Maybe Dad's a big Arsenal fan. I think that's where
we know. We know that the A in AB stands for Arsenal. What does the B stand for? Bottling.
Also bottling.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, guys, squeaky bum time came. Arsenal were tested. They were 2-0 up at halftime at Anfield. They just, I firmly believe, had they seen that out, that would have been a big turning point. But I don't know what happened. And this is the thing with the young team, right? Like, you look at that FA Cup team, the FA Cup winning team in 2020. Obviously, like, 2020 results don't really matter because
that was just vibes.
It was a fake season, right? But like, I think the only guys there are left are Rob Holding and
Xhaka and Saka.
But Saka didn't even start that game. Like, he wasn't the Saka he is today. It's like, I think Arsenal are going to struggle in the market because they need to find characters that they don't have right now. They need established guys who are going to maybe not be the flashiest players, but are going to add some grit to make that team hard again. And who these players are, we don't even know. Like,
I think Jorginho is one of those players. I think they found something with Jorginho. It's just, I think his legs.
Do I tell you, or will you just find out on your own?
The rest of us will tell you.
Look. I know. I understand. J5, but. Look,
he's not a terrible player, but I think that you do need more than he delivers, and in essence, the biggest issue is that you can't clone Thomas Partey. Maybe you could try and pick up somebody from
You don't
Leicester.
want to clone Thomas Partey lately.
No, but
he also ran out of legs, similar to Saka. Yeah. It's like you ran him into the ground. Like, what are you expecting?
Well, considering all those competitions you were playing in, you know, it was really rough.
That mess of one match a week.
Yeah, I think that's where there's a real issue, and yes, we might be proved wrong next season, but somebody like a Declan Rice would be phenomenal for Arsenal because he breaks up play. He's actually more than just a destroyer. He can actually play ball a little bit. But I think there are a couple other players out there.
They need in that
team.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay. Let's move on to your teams. Okay, not Cyrus's team or Dean's team, but Wahid's and AB's team here. The top 4 race, because we don't have Newcastle fans yet. We'll find one. And Jean-Emil's a little bit busy because he's doing his things.
John Conway, who went to school with us, is a big Newcastle fan because they're from Newcastle.
I know a couple of Newcastle fans too.
Bring them on the show when they make
Adam Taylor from Wits. AB will remember Adam Taylor. He was also a big Newcastle fan.
Bro, I spent like 12 years at Wits. You expect me to remember every single one of them.
Well, journalist extraordinaire Sears Duplessis. He's a Newcastle fan. Him and his brothers. Yeah.
Yeah. So now it looks very interesting, right? Newcastle, Manchester United on 66 points, Liverpool on 65 points, but Newcastle and Man United have one game in hand on them. But then there's Brighton, who are coming up very, very hot with 4 games left. They're on 58 points. How scared are you, Wahid and AB?
Extremely. I don't want to make any calls. I don't want to make any calls right now. I will leave this to you guys to chat because I don't want to say yes. I don't want to say no. I am so nervous about this because our season could be abject failure if we lose a couple of games here.
But it's really interesting. I was going to ask this question.
It's also
though,
really
in
interesting
the sense
that Chelsea, who have had an absolutely dire season, get to the end, are probably the most important team in a top 4 race.
And long may you all collect points from us. But the thing in all of this will be, have United had a good season? Because that's something that I've been thinking about over the last couple of days. Yes, you won a trophy already, and I think that's great. But I'm also looking at the team, and I don't know if you're just treading water, if you're getting better. Like, what is happening with United?
AB, are you treading water? Like, what's going on?
I mean, definitely, 100%. We are like, we're trying to drown ourselves here and tread water at the same time. Like that's honestly, the thing that I worry the most is that like Brighton and Newcastle draw on Thursday, because then the squad is going to be like, oh no, we only need like a draw and then we're level with Newcastle. Like, and we go away. As soon as we get into that bus and we leave Manchester this year, like something goes wrong. Like Harry Maguire does all the talks. Eric Ten Hag like goes away somewhere. I'm stressed. But
I want to answer your question. I want to answer your question, Cyrus. Have United had a good season? I don't think you can say that we've had a bad season, and I think that you need to compare our season to expectations at the start of the season. I don't think the expectations were very high. I think that nobody had United in their top 4 going into the season, and after 2 games, I don't think you would have had many people with United in the top 8. So I think when you compare our season to expectations, I think we've had a good season. Is it a brilliant season? No. I think like we've had previously, we've gone on good runs, especially that little period after the World Cup. We had a really good run, which has gotten us into this position. But is it all sunshine and roses at Old Trafford? Absolutely not. I think there's still big questions over the squad, and there's also big questions over Eric Ten Hag's talent ID, which I think we'll only be able to answer this summer, because it's not going to be as simple as let's go raid Ajax and let's get players from the Eredivisie. There's gonna need to be more thinking than just that. I think that when he took over that squad, the dressing room was a disaster, and I think he needed lieutenants like Martinez, who he knew and trusted, to go into that squad and change the culture a little bit. But it's not going to be as simple as that going forward. I also think some power needs to be taken away from the manager in terms of developing that squad and getting that squad looking better. I don't think we can have a situation where a manager can call the shots in its entirety, where all he's doing is trying to sign players he's previously worked with. So I think that there is work needed at Old Trafford, but overall, I'd say that the season was good, if not brilliant.
Look, a Carabao Cup in the bag, an FA Cup final appearance in the bag, and top 4 currently, on the horizon, right?
If you I'll give my left leg for that season.
Yeah,
but yet from a United perspective, it feels as if you've underperformed, just generally, and perhaps.
I think we might be in a false position right now. I think we've overperformed after the World Cup.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I look at like Sancho, and I just don't know. I like Sancho, Anthony, and I'm like, okay, have they done anything this season?
So I actually went and rated on another group, rated our players, and I gave Anthony a 7. I don't think he's been brilliant, but I don't think he's been as bad as people will have you believe. also Anthony makes Man United look a lot better because he's one of those players who buys into the ideology of his manager. So I don't think Anthony's been a bad. Sancho is a completely different case because we just take the weekend game, for example, and you're looking at your £75 million signing, struggling through a game, and a kid coming off the bench and lighting it up. And at this point, I'm not saying Garnacho is that guy. I'm not making any bold claims.
This is not Makeda all over again.
Yeah, I'm not making any bold claims around Garnacho, but I am saying that Sancho shouldn't be being outperformed by a guy like Garnacho, if you get me.
No, totally.
And we look much better. We look much better with Garnacho in the team. So yes, have Man United had a good season? I think some players have had really good seasons. I think Lisandro Martinez has a really good season. I think Rafa Varane's had a really good season. I think Casemiro's had a really good season when he's been available, which hasn't been often enough. Eriksen is an interesting one because he's had a good season, but I don't think that he can be our go-to man going forward. He's really not very press resistant, and I think that Eriksen plays well when Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro are playing well because they're both pressing monsters and they do a lot of the work for him. When those two aren't available is when you see a player like Eriksen who isn't press resistant struggle a little bit, and Eriksen with Sabitzer or Fred was not the best. So you need to get the players around Eriksen, and we know how I feel about handbook players, which we've had before, and I'm not the biggest fan of handbook players. So Eriksen is an interesting one. So I think he's had a good season, but I think there's a room for improvement in the squad there going forward. Marcus Rashford, I think, has had an unbelievable season. I personally think he's the player of the year. Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes has been really good. The others, not so much. We look at Anthony Martial, bad season.
The bits and pieces guys. And then
the other one I'd like to mention is Luke Shaw, who I think has had another really good season. Right back needs work. Both those guys are not it. Wan-Bissaka and Dalot both need upgrading.
So to get back to the question, right? Top four. I think you guys need to be the biggest Brighton fans ever on Thursday.
Yes, bro, I'm a seagull, bro. I'm phoning Yusuf Kaka after this call and asking after this podcast and asking
get
for
a
Brighton.
Get a Percy Dow Brighton.
And so my thing is, and
they'll be on discount.
I put it on that our WhatsApp group, but I honestly see Newcastle finishing fifth. Honestly, if they lose to Brighton on Thursday, I honestly see them finishing fifth because you have a look at their results lately.
They just need 2 wins.
I know, but where those... And that's what I'm saying.
That's less than
Chelsea. They could easily lose to Brighton and Chelsea.
They could.
I get what Dean is saying. They could easily lose those games.
Easy. Without even blinking an eye,
they could also pull what Everton pulled against Brighton as well, in the sense that...
So that's why... I think the top four comes down to actually what happens on Thursday, where if Brighton win, I reckon Newcastle will finish fifth, Brighton will finish sixth because it'll be close, but I think goal difference Newcastle's
here's my take from it, and I could be wrong, but there's 3 that needs to go into 2 here, and it means a hell of a lot more to 2 of those into the other. The other have come. They're the new boys on the block. It doesn't mean as much to them right now as the other two. There should be a hell of a lot more hunger in the 2 other squads than in Newcastle right now. Newcastle have overachieved. I don't think anybody expected Newcastle to be third with 3 games to go. So if they were to drop down to fifth, I still think coming from where they've come from,
we're happy.
They could still
Wouldn't
say
that be a bottle jump?
Well, get lost. I don't know because this is Impo's trying. But the reality is, did I not say Newcastle will be a really good team this season? And they have proved to be, and especially because Eddie Howe is a fantastic coach. But outside of that, I also look at this Newcastle team and I think, how the hell is Fabian Schär one of the most important defenders in a rigid defense in the league? It's unsustainable. And who is he playing next to?
Who is he?
Come on,
Dan Burn.
Dan flippin' Burn. Yeah. But you get what I'm saying.
Botman's really good. Botman is a good player.
Is good.
They're solid defenders, but they're not spectacular defenders. But you also see this
very big. They're
But
all
look at
massive players.
But look at Brighton. It's exactly the same. Massive central defenders who've got a little bit, not pace, but a little bit of ability to get back when they need to.
I'd just like to say something on Brighton. I think
Lewis
the most
Dunk.
disrespected player in the Premier League is Lewis Dunk. People use Lewis Dunk as a meme type of thing, of being like, "Oh, Lewis Dunk." That guy can actually play. He's a really good player. I'm not saying
he's Harry Maguire.
No, he's Gary Cahill.
Just where he is, he's a flippin' good player.
He's Gary Cahill.
Yeah. You love Brighton. It's what it is. You might as well just go get their players.
I promise you, when Spurs get relegated,
bro. I'm an OG Brighton closet fan. Yeah.
When Spurs get relegated, I'm going Brighton or Newcastle. I'm putting that one ticket where I get a free club switch in my life, and I'm going Brighton or Newcastle.
Brighton and Newcastle.
I promise you.
Okay. Cool. So final one, right? 3 goes into 2. Does Liverpool continue? They've got 2 games left. They can only get to 71. The other 2 have 3 games. They need to get 6 out of 9. 6 points out of 9.
Liverpool win
does
all of their
games. Does it stay
games.
the way it is with Newcastle and Manchester United in the top 4? Or does Liverpool come in and, as you guys are talking, Newcastle then will go to 5th? What's the more likely scenario? I want to start with Wahid, go to Dean, Avi, and then Cyrus.
Not answering this question.
Are you that scared?
No,
he's pleading the 5th.
Because Bournemouth on Saturday
No, because he knows
could do wonders.
No, he knows the receipts are coming. That's why he knows there are receipts.
Not answering.
And
not
you know
answering.
what? That's also okay. Very smart
That's okay.
move.
Cool. Dean, what does it look like?
I got Liverpool 3, United 4th, Newcastle 5th, Brighton 6th.
Yo, okay, Liverpool 3. Yo, what a season.
I reckon Liverpool finished 3. I reckon United have got another loss in them. I don't know where. Probably. Can you imagine they lose to Chelsea at Old Trafford?
Being the pantomime villain.
Sure. But I do think United have got a loss. I watched that Liverpool game against Leicester, and they look just as good as what they looked previously.
They're boring. Yeah.
They are fine.
Advertised.
So their games left are really easy. I don't see them. I don't see them falling. So
AB, are you pleading the 5th like Wahid, or
no? I think
has a guess.
I think Newcastle will see it through. So I think it'll go to Newcastle 3 on goal difference, United 4, and then Liverpool miss
by 1 point.
I just think the 2 home games will save them because Chelsea is too late for Newcastle, right? So by Monday, Newcastle know they can secure top 4 for the first time in however long. So I think they'll do it at home.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cyrus as the other neutral party here. Well, not neutral because you play most of the.
The man whose club it all depends on.
And we're going to be dishing out 3 points like it's Christmas. I'm going to be controversial here. I think that Newcastle will hold on to 3rd, and I think that Liverpool will leapfrog United.
No, don't say this.
And the reason.
Wait, he's recording this right now. He's going to go on. He's going to record.
I don't really.
Send it to you.
I've said I'm wrong. I've said I'm wrong before, and I'll accept it if I'm wrong. But the thing for me is,
it's not unlikely, which is why I don't want to make a call on it. It's not unlikely. United against Bournemouth away from home. I can see an L there. I can see a capitulation against Chelsea. Like as easily as we could win those games, like Chelsea should be an easy game, but I could see Chelsea really.
Conor Gallagher, Mason Mount.
No, you will absolutely win 3-0 in that game.
Cyrus,
the thing, it's a Fulham game for me.
Cyrus,
Old Trafford, like we're okay there. Like we're not playing Liverpool at Old Trafford. We're not playing Arsenal, City.
It's the goals issue. It's the goals
we can't score goals. Yeah.
And that's why I said this.
Going to come right. He's got 3 games.
Sure. Look, vote becomes Makeda all over again.
100%. Man wants
the vote.
Just one question.
Gives me hope of one day playing for Man United.
If Poch gets announced in the next week before the next couple games, does that do something to the players, or do you think it's too far?
No, because Lampard will still be the boss. and that's the biggest issue. And I think that there's a lot of players whose heads are just not in it. I was very surprised at how well Sterling played over the weekend, but then also not that surprised when you look at some of the other players just totally not being aware of what's happening around them, especially somebody like Mendy. Mendy should not have been brought back into that team. He'd been out for so long that you just play Kepa. You just play him. It's not really been Kepa's fault that Chelsea have been conceding goals. So there's so much chopping and changing. There's also issues at left back at the moment. That's why I don't see like a new manager bounce thing happening, because the reality is Ziyech is still going to be, what is he even doing when he's playing? Kai Havertz is either in or out. We don't have a striker. Where are the goals coming from? So that's why I just don't see it. That every team that will need to score will score. It's as simple as that.
And as Cyrus goes into the darkness,
load shedding.
Thank you very much, everybody. Good luck to those still in the top 4 race. The Arsenal bottling plant might even do amazing things on the weekend and lose another game, but that's fine. Even though other teams who've been in the top 4 and are probably looking might fall out, won't be considered bottlers too. But anyway, good luck to those who are scared for their teams, and enjoy the football. And obviously Chelsea giving away 3 points, so it is Christmas there happening. You're going to be crowning Manchester City at the Etihad, so well done on that. And yeah, outside of that, goodbye, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, where's the video? Oh, okay, this is going to go into the bloopers, but